Welcome to Chapter Sass, the podcast where we deep dive into the books that make you blush, gasp, and maybe even think a little. I'm your host, Season, and with every book, I'll be joined with a new co host with their own hot take. From spicy romances to messy love triangles and all the glorious chaos in between, we're here with a fresh perspective to unpack the stories we love, question what we think we know, and explore how the book speaks to us. Things might even get a little sassy. This episode is rated mature and will contain spoilers. Let's get into the first chapter. Hi everyone, welcome back. Woo! Today we're going to be discussing the third book in the Twisted series. This is Twisted Hate by Ana Huang. So let's get into the first chapter. Hi Vanessa, welcome back.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm good.
Oh,
We're
lovely.
wearing our orange pieces here.
Oh, yes, I did. You know, T Swizzle, we love her. So in her honor, we're going to just continue to wear orange. I'm not the biggest fan of orange, but I'm about to love orange because she's...
You know what? It also worked out, I think, because Jules is a redhead.
Oh, Jules is a redhead. So yeah, like orange red, I love it. What are you drinking today?
Today I have, well, I don't have any like what Jules like fave drinks, but I have a lemonade iced tea, but in an orange cup.
Oh, love it. I have here the closest that I'm gonna get to Jules is caramel salted coffee drink. This is just black coffee ice with nothing in it, with just sweet foam, and it is caramel macchiato sweet foam, and the sweet foam is changing it to be like this color, but not the biggest sweet coffee drinker all the time, so it's just black coffee with a little bit of sweet foam on top, just in honor of Jules.
Yeah.
So we'll get into it. All right, so our third book, we're almost done. One more left of the series after this, but our third book starts off with Jules Ambrose. She's being stood up at a bar. We all know from previous books before, but Jules is an aspiring lawyer. And she's just like, she's getting stood up. So she leaves the bar. And as she's leaving, she runs into no other than Josh. And remember, everyone, Josh is Ava's brother. Josh is a medical resident, and Josh always calls Jules by the nickname he gave her, JR, which is short for Jessica Rabbit. Jules absolutely hates that name because she's like, you can't think of anything better than, because she has red hair and like,
Yeah.
she is supposed to be a little bit more like big breasts.
Voluptuous.
Yeah, curvy, all these things. So she's like, you can't think of anything better than JR. Like, way to go. But as she's turning to leave, she like trips and fall, and like Josh catches her. And this is like the first of like where the sparks start for them. And then Jules instantly remembers that 7 years ago when she like first met Ava, and like Jules was always getting Ava in trouble, and I'm putting trouble in like quotes, but like it was like anytime they did anything fun, they were also college girls, you know. Her brother was always like, "You can't make other friends, Ava. She's bad news. You don't need someone like that in your life." So she overheard Josh saying that's like that's one of the reasons why like up until now she hasn't been liking Josh. Like they fight in every other book that they're in. So Jules leaves, and as she's leaving, because they're thinking about that she's making a checklist, and she's thinking about, oh, Ava's surprise birthday's coming up, and she's just like making a checklist, but she's like, what else happens in like this month? And then she remembers her mother, Adeline. It was her birthday, and she feels guilty about not calling her mother, but they haven't spoken in also 7 years. So she doesn't know how to feel about this, and then all of a sudden she feels a gun pushed up against her back, and someone asked for her phone and wallet.
Okay.
The next chapter ends, and Josh is at the bar, and I was like, wait, like I wanted to like jump the book. Like, how do I get back to Jules' story? Because she like had a gun pressed up against her.
I know. I was like, wait a minute.
So Josh is at the bar, and he has letters from his dad. And as we remember from Ava's book, Josh's dad is in prison because he tried to kill Ava twice. He gets letters weekly from his father, but he has never opened any of them. They're just like stay in his desk. but he got one
Mhm.
today. So he's thinking about that, but he's also kind of thinking about Jules too, because like she just left. And then he just thinks to himself, like, they're both stubborn. Their personalities are too similar. It's like putting fire against fire. And this is shown a lot throughout the book. Like, it is great foreshadowing, like their relationship, like what they do to each other. I think sometimes, like when they're trying to get mad. So like just
Mhm.
great foreshadowing. And then just to like piggyback off what Jules was thinking, like how Alex thinks that she's such a bad influence on her. Josh starts to think that Jules is a bad influence on his sister. However, Alex or Ava is also dating Alex, and Alex is not a good influence. So there are worse
Who
people
is he
that
to
could be
say?
influenced. Yeah.
I know.
And so Josh is at the bar with his coworker slash like nurse friend, and he's
Mm.
excited about his trip to New Zealand where he plans to bungee jump. Apparently, Josh does all of these things where he like every year somewhere like takes a trip and does something like super adventurous. So this year his trip is to New Zealand where he plans to bungee jump. You know, they're at the bar watching like a game. Josh decides to go home early, so he leaves, and then all of a sudden he finds Jules a few blocks away with a gun in her hand. She somehow got the gun away from the mugger and was able to call the cops. How? I don't know. I really wish that they show this like in the Netflix show. I really wish they show her like somehow doing this, but I have a
Yes.
feeling it's going to be exactly what we say here. It's going to be like, "Oh, hold up your gun," and he's going to come walking, and she's like going to have the gun in her hands all of a sudden.
Yeah. Like, no big deal.
Like,
It's like, "Jules, what? Where did you learn this?"
so Josh and Jules don't live far from each other. So like all their public transportation, like everything is like almost the same. They do at one point have to like turn opposite ways, but I think it's like a 10-15 minute walk. Like they live within like 30 minutes of each other, like within walking distance. So they're heading home and they take like the same bus because that's where they are. But then Josh starts to notice that like Jules all of a sudden like her adrenaline rush is going away. So she's starting to shake, she's starting to feel nervous. Again, she had a gun, she was held at gunpoint. And so he asks her like if she's okay and she says yeah. He's a doctor, so he knows like he can see the stuff going on. So what he
Mhm.
does is he says, okay, fine. And as she walks home, he like follows her, but he like stays far enough away where like she doesn't notice him and he makes sure that she like makes it home safe. So I think that's actually like really sweet because he didn't have to do that. Um,
Yeah.
but I do think in this situation it was him being like a good person, not that he loved her, like it was just him being like a good
Yeah. Yeah.
guy.
Or a doctor.
So Jules comes home and we find her roommate, Stella. Uh, Stella is a little bit mentioned a little bit more in this book because the next book is her book. And so she's,
Mhm.
working on her social media. Jules is so shooken up, but she doesn't want to tell Stella about the mugging, so she goes and takes a shower. But while she's in the shower, she just starts to remember another time she felt helpless, and she thinks of like her senior year in high school. She thinks of Alistair, Max, and Adeline. It's Adeline or Adeline, I forgot, but that's the mom's name. Alistair is her stepdad, and Max is her ex-boyfriend. We find out more about them later on.
Yeah.
Then it's like, a few days later, and it's Ava's surprise birthday party. And we get this is our first look into how Josh is taking how everything happened with him and Alex. Because remember, in book one, they were best friends and they had been best friends for a long time. And Alex had used Josh to like get to his father. So this is like the first time they're like at this bar for her surprise birthday. And he's like huddled by himself. Everyone else is like, has like someone to talk to and he's just like drinking by himself in a corner because he no longer has Alex.
Mhm.
So then they're all like dancing, whatever. And then all of a sudden, Bridget was able to fly in to Ava's birthday party. Remember, Bridget is now the queen of Eldora. And it's been 2 months since she's been crowned queen. So her wedding hasn't passed yet. Because remember, in her book, Jules and Josh go missing in her wedding. So her wedding hasn't passed
That's
yet.
right. Yeah.
So this is like before all that. But anyways, the
Mhm.
queen, is at this party. And so obviously people start taking pictures. So they take a picture with Bridget and Jules, a picture is taken. So we learned that Jules and Stella during this party, we learn that Jules and Stella are looking for a new apartment, and Reese says that he has a friend that should be able to help. So that's just like, dun, 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 who is this person that can help? And Ava tells the group that Alex got 4 tickets to like this resort opening. Obviously, Bridget and Reese can't go because they don't live there. There's a possibility that Stella can go, but she quote unquote has plans. So that leaves Jules and Josh. But like if we're being honest, this was always Ava's way to try to get Josh and Alex to be friends again because
Mhm.
this resort has a triple black diamond and Josh like loves all this adventurous stuff. So Jules was just she just needed like a girlfriend and like Jules just like happened to be the girlfriend to
Yeah.
go. So like they end up agreeing that they're gonna go to this resort, but they're not necessarily excited about it. They're still at the party, and Alex approaches Josh and just tries to explain that like this resort trip was not his idea. This was all Ava. We all understand she's just trying to make us friends again. And Josh is just like, no, like you betrayed me. I don't know how we can ever be friends again. Like I share things with you that I would never share with my own family. And
Yeah.
he just tells Alex that he doesn't trust him anymore, and he just like can't have a friendship without trust. Honestly, you can't have any relationship without trust, and I do think
Yeah.
that is the fundamental thing of this book is like trusting people.
Mhm.
So that's aw, but like he's so sad, he needs a friend.
I was like, when they were going on this trip, I was like, this trip sounds like so awkward right now because most of the people don't even like each other.
Hmm.
Like Alex and Josh were fighting, and then Jules and Josh don't like each other.
Yeah,
Mhm. And like
1000%. And they're
Ava's
and right
holding this
now they're
group
not
together.
even on the trip. This is Ava being like, "You're going on the trip with me." But like to your point, they're sitting here at this bar being like, "This fucking trip is about to be so awkward because of
Yeah.
all the reasons you just said."
They're like,
No one likes each other.
"Yay."
The only person there
Ava
is Ava. The only person there who get along is Ava and Jules. So,
Ava was
uh,
just holding that group trip together.
yes, that's her role. It's so cute. But during this chapter, we also learned that Josh doesn't do relationships. He just does sex because of his residency. He really doesn't have time for relationships. Not that he ever really wanted one, but again, he has trust issues, which is understandable because it wasn't just Alex. Like he lost trust in his father. So that's a lot in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
Um, and I honestly like I have to give it to Alex, like not choosing to want to be in a relationship because you have trust issues and because you don't have the time. Like I respect that. Obviously, he just has fuck buddies as of right now. So like, do what you gotta do. But I agree that like for him not trying to be in a relationship, I approve.
Yeah.
So Jules tries to give Josh some advice and just tell him it's time to move on. And Josh tells Jules to like come back when someone betrayed her. And she responds, "How do you know I haven't been already?" So that just is a little foreshadowing what's gonna happen.
Mhm.
And so it's like the end of the party, it's a few days past. Jules is having a good week. She got this job at a legal health clinic. And she just needs a job to hold her off because she's gonna take the bar. She already has a job lined up with another law firm, but in order for her to like actually do the job, she just needs to pass the bar. So if she passes the bar, she gets this job. So she just needs money until then. So she gets money at this legal clinic. And then they are at the Mirage, which is like the best apartment, in the city, thanks to Reese's friend, who we just
Mhm.
learned is Christian. And they get this apartment for like dirt cheap. Like it's supposed to be like $10,000, and then the discount
Yeah.
was 7,000. And then they're like, well, we can only afford like 3,000 or something. And Christian's like, done. And everyone's like, wait, what? So they live in this like beautiful apartment for nothing. Then it's like the following week, and Alex also happens to volunteer at a clinic. Dun 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 dun. He walks into the kitchen and finds Jules. They happen to now work at the same clinic because she is now the new research associate. So of course they get into a fight. They like you know do all they just like argue, but then they
Yep.
just end up coming to a truce, and they're just like anytime they're at the clinic they're gonna act professional. So the
Mhm.
following week, Josh does try to prove to Jules that he wants to be professional. So he shows up with her favorite chocolate flavored cake, which is caramel, something salted caramel. And she responds with like, "How do you know this is my favorite?" And he's like, "You're always drinking salted caramel coffee." So I also think that's like a first little like sign that he like even notices because at this point,
Yeah.
they have been in each other's life for a long time, right? Because
Mhm.
they've been friends. Ava's been friends with Jules, but like the fact
Yeah.
that he's like noticed little things about her up until now, I do think is cute.
Yeah.
So Jules is eating the cupcake sexually, and now Josh is starting to get turned on. Um, and he responds with, "I like it better when you're not talking." And I think this would be so funny if they kept this in the show. But we'll see if they do.
When he said that, I was like, "You?" Yeah, I would have been like, first of all, you don't like me, so like, why are you making it weird?
Ah. So then Josh and Jules start working on the case that they have to work together. So like Josh, since it's like a legal clinic, Josh works on like the medical side. Jules like works on like the legal side, but like their cases on like how like something happened to someone and they need medical and legal help. Um and right now they're facing the case that they're working on is about a family facing homelessness, and then Jules just starts to remember feeling about like homelessness, and she's kind of starts to hint on like how she would go hungry sometimes, or she had to make sure she ate at school, or how she had to learn how to like steal cable or heat or something from like the neighbors because bills often went unpaid. So like we don't know all the things that are going on about her childhood, but we now have that like she's like someone has betrayed me, and now homelessness like hits close to home to her. So
Mhm.
now is the time for the trip. Josh and Jules, Ava and Alex are on their trip. And of course, they have to take Alex's like private jet. But when they show up to the resort was double booked, and they had to downgrade to a cabin with just two rooms. And of course, it wouldn't be much of a plot if the two rooms only had one bed each.
Of course.
Of course. So Ava and Alex obviously choose one room, and Jules and Josh chose choose. There's so much like the Ava and Alex, Josh and Jules is like it's like a tongue twister right now. They chose the other room. So they're on the ski trip, and Jules doesn't know how to ski, which is weird because Alex was like, "Didn't you grow up next to like one of the best like skiing resorts?" But she like tries to like get out of that answer. She
Mhm.
she doesn't respond. She was just like, we couldn't afford to ski. But then she also starts to remember the last time that she ever skied was with Max, and Max made her do something she didn't want to do. And spoilers, it was a sex tape. He forced her to have a sex tape. So Josh like doesn't want to leave her there because Ava and Alex like left. So he's like, I'll teach you how to ski. Of course, they
Mhm.
fight, but they all start getting turned on with each other. Uh, and then all of a sudden, Jules gets like a pain in her stomach, and she's like, she has to go home. And he's like, he says something JR, and she was like, "Can you come up with a better nickname? Like, I really hate it when you call me JR." And so then he comes up with, "Okay, Red." So that is his new nickname for her. And
Mhm.
so, um, like they kind of meet up, and so Ava like meets up with Jules because Jules is locked away in the room, and so
Yeah.
Alex and Josh do take on the triple black diamond, and it starts to feel like old times, but like Josh just cannot get over the fact that like he cannot trust Alex. And
Mhm.
the reason we find out that Jules isn't feeling well is because she gets really bad periods. So they do touch upon like endometriosis on this, which I absolutely love. Um,
Yeah, it's like the
and
first time ever,
yeah,
well, that
like
I've ever read.
yes, we need more of it because there are so many women out there. And Josh like figures it out too. Jules doesn't have endometriosis, but like the book just like mentions it. And because Josh is a doctor, he asks like if that's what she has, and Ava's like, no. Remember, they're sharing a room, so he's gonna know anyway. So, but she's like, she really just has really bad cramps. Like it's normally only one day, but like she literally cannot move for this one day. So like
Mhm.
Josh like goes in and he sees her in pain, and the doctor and him kicks in, so he gets like some lavender and he like rubs her stomach, gives her like a heating pad and like a towel or something. and she falls asleep. And then at some point he gets turns on too, but he's like, I need to go to the bathroom. Cold shower time. Uh and then obviously Josh has to go to sleep too because like they're sharing one bed. So like Josh goes to sleep and they wake up and of course they're like cuddling. Um and she wakes up and she's like, "Oh my god, like I have to get out of here." So she like runs out. During their trip, she gets a text from Max. It's been 7 years since she last spoke to Max, and Max has the sex tape of Jules. So yeah, so she doesn't know what to do. Now the
Yeah.
trip's over. It's been a few days. Josh and Jules and like two other coworkers are out for a happy hour. And like this happy hour, they just like are turning each other on throughout this happy hour. But anyways, since the two other people leave, and since Josh and Jules live so close to each other, they head home together. And Jules starts to like just think about her ex and how like he wouldn't believe that she could ever be a lawyer, how he just believed that she was a pretty face. And she's just like so consumed with all this that like she walks into a street and almost gets hit by a car, and Josh has to pull her back. And of course, they get into like another argument because he's like, "What were you thinking of? Like, are you so dumb that you didn't notice that there was a car?" But she's like, she doesn't want to tell them, she doesn't want to tell him any of this. And Josh pretty much is like calling Jules irresponsible. And he was like, whatever, if you want to get hit by a car, then get hit by a car. But like your consequences have, your actions have
Right.
consequences on the people you love. So he's like,
Yeah.
you getting hit by a car impacts Ava. But while he's thinking of this, he's also thinking about how like his mom passed and like essentially committed suicide, and that how that impacts like his life and Ava's life. How like anything happened to Ava, you know, what happened, like the impacts of the relationship, how like him not, how when Alex did everything, how that impacted him. So he's seeing this from a whole different other picture about like quote unquote being responsible.
Yeah.
Um and so Jules just like fires back at him and it's like, you have issues and you just like can't let things go that happened over a year ago, aka talking about Alex and him, you know, how he can't like trust him. So things get very heated. Josh kisses Jules, um and so they fight again, and Josh like pulls Jules into her house, and they do it. They have very rough, angry sex. It's very angry sex. A lot of things happen. None of it is sweet. None of it is sweet at all. And they're like baiting each other on this whole time too. He's like, well, oh, he was like, get on your knees, whatever. She was like, make me, and like it's
Yeah.
literally like,
Like they're like bickering while they're doing this. Yeah.
so once they're done, Josh leaves because what else?
Yep.
So it's been days, and all they can both think is just like the night that they had with each other, but they're obviously not going to admit it. And Josh is like, literally like, I need to like F her again. So he goes
Yeah.
to visit Jules and they agree to be like friends with benefits, but without being friends. So this is strictly a physical arrangement and they have rules.
Mhm.
Rule number one, we don't have claims to each other's time outside of when they're doing it. So they can't ask like where they've been, what they're doing, any of that. Rule number two, they keep this between them. So Ava doesn't know. They don't want to bring like Ava into this. Stella, Alex, any other people. They'll always use protection. Absolutely no sleeping over. Like it's get it in, get out. No getting jealous if another person goes on a date with someone else. And the last rule is if you want to end the argument or if you want to end the arrangement, be upfront about it. Like don't ghost, don't beat around the bush. Like we're all adults.
Yeah.
Which I have to respect. Like that's a very, that's true. So
And we know this isn't gonna go exactly as they planned, obviously.
obviously it's not gonna go the way they planned. So it's a week later and Stella and Jules like moved into their new apartment. And as a reward, Stella, Jules, Ava, and Alex go out to like the hottest like new club that opened. And while they're at the club, two things happen. First thing, Alex, I'm sorry, Jules runs into her ex And we learned that Jules' real name is Jules Miller, not Jules Ambrose. She legally changed her last name when she went away to college. And she has not seen her ex in 7 years because he was in jail for something she did and ran off with all the money. This is also according to the ex. Like, and I want that to say like something she did and took all the money. Like, this is what the ex Max thinks. He's just like, I was in jail for you and you ran off and took all the money. That's not true, but in his head, this is how he thinks it played out.
Yeah.
Then Jules starts to remember the day that he's talking about. So the day that he's talking about is, and this is like a flashback, it's Jules took money that she stole from her stepdad, Alistair. They were only supposed to steal 50K, but Max got greedy and also wanted to steal a diamond necklace. And so while he was trying to steal the diamond necklace, Alistair and her mother came back. And instead of wanting to leave, Max is like, no, we can get this necklace, we can get the necklace. And Joel's like, no. And she like pieces out and she like runs out. And
Yeah.
then all she also is remembering is like how her mother didn't treat her like a daughter, and her just being hurt by her mother. And then she was like, "What mother chooses their stepfather, their stepdad over her own daughter?"
Yeah.
So she's like running out, and like now Jules's mom and stepdad are like in the house, and they're still in the house. And Max is still trying to steal this necklace, but Jules is like trying to get out the back door, but she does have the money. Um, Pretty much Max does grab the necklace, but as they're running, he bumps into a vase. It cuts him, but he drops the necklace. And then because the vase broke, everyone else out in the house hears it, so they start running. And so Max and Jules do make it out of the house without being noticed. However, Max is now bleeding. And later, Alistair was able to track down Max and put him in jail because they were able to test the DNA that he left behind, which was his blood. So essentially, Jules did get that money and she did technically leave, but there's more to that story. We also learned that Jules got involved in the con life because of Max. She met Max because her mother kicked her out of the house and she needed to get money to survive. So
Mm.
then now we're like in present day, and Max tells Jules that he owes him, and when the time comes to repay her debt, he wants to make sure that she'll follow through. So he shows her a clip of the sex tape that he made her do all those years ago, and he's just like, "Oh, you're going to be a new lawyer, right? Your new law firm's not going to like if this is leaked on you, if this video is like leaked." So she doesn't like. She's literally like shocked. She like doesn't know what to do. And
Yeah.
Jules asked like, "How did you find me?" And he was like, "Oh, well, so hard not to find out the queen's friends." So it's only a matter of time before she was going to get find out because of all the pictures that were taken. And so the second thing happens in the club. uh Josh had texted Jules to be like, let's meet up. And she said she couldn't because she was at the club with her friends. But Josh is also at this same club. And as Josh shows up, Max leaves. And he's like, well, I'm gonna, and they were like bickering in text, of course, because obviously, and he was like, I'll punish you later for that. And so at the club, they like find a random closet that's like open and he punishes her sexually. However, I don't know if you can say punish because Jules is completely here for all of this. Like she's not saying no. She is here for everything that's happening. And then he's like, "We're going to my house now for round two," and she's like, "Yeah, I'm done. I'll peace out to my friends. Let's go." So during round two, a storm hits, and just like in Ava and Alex's book, it's raining like so bad. There's like a flash flood warning. She has to stay. So they decide to watch a movie. They decide to watch Finding Nemo. And Finding Nemo is a little sentimental for or I'm sorry, not Alex, for Josh, because him and his dad used to watch it like every day for his birthday. And so Jules tries to make him feel better and like says like a weird fact about fish, but she ends up falling asleep during Finding Nemo, which da da da, same thing that would happen with Ava. And so of course He could just leave her on the couch, but he carries her to his bed,
You gotta.
and she essentially sleeps over. So they already broke one of the rules.
Yeah.
Um, so Jules wakes up in Josh's bed, and sees Josh's ugly painting. And remember, we know this painting from book one. This painting will come back later on in the chapters and is very important. And so they have like the awkward morning, but like Jules just heads home after she like wakes up, and they like eat breakfast or whatnot. But then we get Josh's point of view, and we learn that like Josh is really holding on to the guilt. He feels guilty for what happened with Ava and their father. He feels guilty for his mother's death. He feels guilty for letting Alex into their lives because like of everything that just stemmed from it. Like he's like, I should have been a better brother, could have been a better son. If Alex, I trusted Alex and he was only here to try to like put our dad into prison and all this. And so he's just like thinking about all that. And then he also has like good and bad days at the hospital. And today he's about to have a bad day because he loses a patient. So like after his shift's over, he texts Jules because he needs to release some stress, only to find out that Jules already texted him because she needed to release some stress. So he finds her at the library, and she's been crying. And so he asks like, "What's wrong?" And she's like, "Nothing. It's allergies." Really, Max had texted her and said some stuff, so she was just feeling some type of way. And so Josh starts to feel protective over her. And even though that he's also had a bad day, he's like, "I'm gonna take care of you." So he essentially like finger fucks her uh in the library. No one notices.
Of course, no
They're
one
quiet.
notices.
Um
No one heard anything in this
no
quiet
one heard
library.
anything, and there are people there. They make it a point that it's like kind of crowded. So no one notices, gets away. And so then Jules is like, "Oh, you had a bad day, so like let me try to relieve your stress." And he tells her, "No, I'll take care of it later." And she's like, "No, no, no, like we're supposed to be like this is like a mutual understanding." And he's like, "I'll take care of it later. However, if you want to like make it up to me," he was like, "Can you be my fake date to the hospital annual like picnic?" What could be wrong? What could go wrong being a fake date? I don't know.
Nothing.
So it's like the next weekend and it's a fake date. And they see a different side of each other. So like they get to know each other better. And in this painting, we find out somehow the painting has got brought up, and the reason why like Alex has it. I keep saying Alex and it's Josh. The reason why Josh has it, the reason why Josh has it is because it was supposed to belong to like a famous collector. And so their date non-date, because remember they're not on a date, they like almost kiss again, and like they just like, "Oh, we need to leave because we're not supposed to, like this is fake." Like the only reason why Josh even brought Jules is because at the last picnic everyone tried to hook him up with like their niece or daughter, so he's like, "You're my
Uh-huh.
buffer." So like
Yeah.
she leaves, but like then all he can think about is her. So now it is Bridget's wedding and everyone is in Eldora. And I have a question for you, Vanessa.
Oh.
Why is Josh in Eldora? Because he is nothing to Bridget. It makes sense for Alex to be there because he is Ava's date. And it makes sense for Christian to be there because he's friends with Reese. But it's like if you're getting married and I invited my sister Linda to your wedding. Like what the fuck is Josh doing at this wedding?
That's true because Bridget and Ava just met in college, right? It's not
Yeah.
like they were like lifelong
Mhm.
friends like Jules, they've known longer.
Yeah, like Josh has no reason to be at this wedding, but he's at this wedding.
That's true, but I feel like Josh wasn't gonna miss it though. He's like, "I'm not gonna miss out on this wedding." Like, he would get FOMO. He's like, "I'm going."
Honestly, I do see that. Um I do see it. Hopefully the Netflix series like shows them maybe being like a little bit better friends or like maybe communicate or like talking more like as friends, like I don't know, but I don't know why Josh is at this wedding. But
Yeah,
anyway.
I don't even think that him and Bridget have ever talked,
Right, that's what I'm
that
saying,
I
like why are
remember
you at this
like, at
wedding?
all. Now that I'm thinking about it, like, I didn't even think about that, but, like, yeah, good point.
Like, it makes sense for everyone else to be there, but it does not make sense for like, it makes sense for Josh to be there if Jules was dating Josh at the time, but
Mhm.
they're not dating. Anyways, so the girls are out throwing Bridget her bachelorette party, and they have to be, like, in costume because Bridget's the queen of Eldora, so they're, like, being disguised or whatnot, but that leaves Alex and Josh alone at the hotel bar. They really can't go out any too much because there's like paparazzi everywhere because it's, the queen's wedding. And so Alex tries to apologize to Josh for like what he did. And they come to an understanding that like when they get back home to the States that they'll try to work on their friendship. But it's gonna take a while. And then Josh asks Alex, like, how did you know Ava was the one? And then Alex responds, when I'm not with her, I wish she was here. And when I am with her, I want this moment to last forever. And Josh starts to feel that he feels this way with Jules. Like they haven't had much time together, but like he's always thinking about her when they're not together. And when they are together, he just like wants it to like last um longer. Also, like I didn't say this before because we don't have to go super into it, but like they like land in Eldora and like Josh and Jules figure out a way to like do it, and like they almost get caught by Ava. I didn't put it in because it wasn't too important, but like in these moments is like when he's really starting to fall for her because they kind of like cuddle afterwards and they're not supposed to cuddle. So like
Mhm.
he's like just thinking about all of this. And so then uh he gets a phone call and it's Ava and they need Josh to come bail them out because they're in jail.
Oh, yeah, they
Um
couldn't call Alex.
they couldn't call Alex because Alex would overreact.
Yeah.
Bridget had gone home early because, she's a queen or whatnot. So the girls stayed out. But they're in jail because Jules punched a dude at the bar because he wouldn't leave Ava alone. Like Ava had said no. And so she like punched him and it started a bar fight. Um,
Mhm.
and so in this chapter, we start to kind of remember excuse me, in this chapter, we start to remember Jules's past with her mom and how her mom treated her. And so she's just thinking like, how you have to fend for yourself. So they get back to the hotel, and Jules pulls Josh pulls Jules into the room and asks if she's okay. And the reason why he does this is because the girls don't tell the boys that it was Ava who was getting groped. They knew that if Alex found out, he'd probably like kill the guy who did it. So Jules ends up saying that like I was the one who was being groped and I punched him. So like Josh is getting concerned. So like when he pulls her in, he's like, "Are you okay?" And like he's telling her he cares about her without saying that.
Mhm.
Uh and Jules can tell that something is like changing between them a little bit, but she insists that like we're supposed to be doing this like sex no feelings. So like they're both kind of like taken aback by all that. But anyways, then dun, 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 it's Bridget's wedding day. And when Jules is walking down the aisle, Josh cannot take his eyes off her. And like finally, like Jules and Josh like lock eyes and they like stare at each other. Like Bridget at this point is walking down the aisle and like Josh is only staring at Jules.
Mhm.
Um, and they realize that like at this is the point where they realize that they're both more to each other than just sex. They're not going to admit it to each other, but this is when they both realize that. So now it's at Bridget's reception, and Jules is like flirting slash talking with like this hot soccer player, and Josh is jealous.
That's right. I forgot about this guy.
Josh is jealous, and like Josh tells Jules that he needs to speak with her. Um, so this is when they go missing, and like this is like at the end of like Bridget's book, and so once they're alone, Josh tells Jules that he's sorry for telling Ava to like stop being Jules's friend like all those years ago and that like everything has changed, with between them and that she means something more than like just sex. And he
Mhm.
tells her like he wants her. She doesn't know how to process any of this because in her head she's thinking, well, my mom didn't love me, my ex didn't love me, he made me do crazy things. Like she doesn't know how to accept love. So she
Mhm.
just like they just like leave Andorra and Eldora and nothing's resolved between them. It's they just left. It was awkward. So Jules is back home and she gets a phone call, and her mother is dead. And while she didn't have the best relationship with her mother, it was still her mom. And so instead of going to any of her girlfriends' house, the first place she heads to is Josh's house. And Josh is packing for his New Zealand trip because they're supposed to leave in 4 days. Uh,
Mhm.
and so like she like heads to him, and so while Josh is comforting Jules, Jules tells him, "My mom and me like didn't have the best relationship." And we learned that Jules's mom was jealous of Jules because of how beautiful she was becoming. She started to treat Jules like her competition and not her daughter. And she would use like money on makeup and clothes instead of like putting food on the table, making sure bills were paid. And then she also tells him that her stepdad tried to force himself on her, and when she tried to reject him, their her mom came in and caught them. But Alistair switched it to say like Jules was trying to seduce him, and that's the reason why Jules was kicked out of the house, and so that's the reason why Jules ran out of money, and this is how she met up. Her and Max like ended up, connecting, and how she started conning people. It was because she was just doing it as a means to survive. So Joseph's like freaking out about booking a flight, picking a funeral home, all of these, all the things that come with like planning, a loved one dying. And so Josh tells her to shower and he'll take care of everything. And so while she's in the shower, he figures out all the like logistical things he needs, like what flight she should take, what hotel she should stay at, what funeral home she should use, and he like gives her these options. Um, he gives her these options, but it's also like the same weekend as graduation. And Josh tells Jules, "You're graduating. You're walking across that stage from law school because no, like quite frankly, your mom wasn't here. She can wait one more day to be buried, which is true.
Yeah.
Like she can wait
Yeah.
one more day.
I like
So
that you
it's like
said that.
Monday, and Jules heads back home to Ohio. And when she's like in the hotel, um, Josh was supposed to head to New Zealand because remember he's been planning this trip for like a year. But as
Mhm.
she's at the hotel, he hears like "Hey Red," and she turns around and she like is like shocked. And he picked Ohio over New Zealand. Like he picked her over going to New Zealand. And so like she's like, "What are you doing here?" And he's like, "Oh, I heard like Ohio has like the best croquet or something like museum. Give me a tour." And she's just like, she's feeling so sentimental because she realizes like what New Zealand meant and that he chose her over New Zealand. So like she
Yeah.
gives him a tour of of Ohio. She shows him her favorite bookstore and tells him like her favorite book is Charlotte's Web. And like they're being very intimate at this point. So like Josh confesses that his dad has been sending her letters weekly. He just hasn't opened them. It's finally the funeral, and Jules is like, "I need for closure, I need to just go to my mom's house and I need to see her house." So they go to her house, and Jules is hoping that there's something that her mom would have wanted something to remember her by. So when they go home, she's hoping if there's a picture, there's something. There is nothing of Jules in that house. All it is like old pictures of the mom in her pageant days and things. Thoughts, Vanessa?
I mean, that's very depressing.
I agree.
It's like just very sad, like that your parent or like like your mom would like not choose you over any other person. Like the one person who's supposed to care the most about you
Yeah.
and is like,
And
"No,
yeah.
I don't
And
want
she,
you."
yeah. And she felt threatened and all these things.
Yeah.
Uh
And about a and especially choosing like a douche guy like that guy,
mhm.
especially.
Agreed, agreed. So when they leave the house, the mom's house, Josh was like, "Is this everything you need?" And she was like, "This was the closure I needed." She's like disappointed with what she found, but she's like, "I can move on now. Like I can leave my mom in the past now." And so Josh starts to think about the letters that he has from his dad, and he's like, he at some point needs some form of closure from his father. So at the airport, Jules tells Josh that she's been thinking about what they talked about at Richard's wedding, and if he's okay with it, like they decide that they're gonna try this, and so they're gonna go on an actual date. So I think that's so cute because it's mentioned like later on, but Ohio is like what really changed the relationship for them. So I really hope Netflix gives like Ohio like a whole episode. Like it needs
Okay.
to be like a whole episode to like show like
The
all the
turning point.
yeah, like show her crying, show her figuring out the funeral, show like just like it needs to be a whole episode, and it really should only be them two. Like this episode really
Yeah.
shouldn't have like any of the other side characters. Like this
Mhm.
episode like needs to just be
Yeah. I agree.
them. And so for their first date, Josh makes a bookstore scavenger hunt, and the first clue is in Charlotte's Web. And at the end of the hunt, Jules finds a note that says, like, will you go on a date with me? And she's just like, well, we're already on a date. And he's like, I still have to ask properly. And I was like, oh, he's such a gentleman. Like, honestly, that is so cute. Like, that is like such a romantic date.
He was he's been doing very romantic things, even the little things like earlier on with the desserts and the coffees and stuff. I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, okay." For someone who hates somebody else, you're very a romantic person towards them.
Yes. So like a few days have passed, and remember Alex and Josh had agreed that they were gonna try to fix their friendship. So they're at the like VIP suite baseball games, and Jules is like texting Josh, and Josh is like getting all giddy texting her, and Alex notices, and he's like, "Who are you texting me?" He's like, "Nobody," and he was like, "You're getting way too giddy." So then like Josh just tells Alex like, "I might be dating somebody." So Alex knows that there's like a woman in Josh's life. So then Josh decides that just after everything that happened in Ohio, that he does need closure. So he opens and reads all the letters that his dad gave him, and they say like the letters are essentially surface, like there's nothing deep in it, but it's just like, "How was your Christmas? How was this?" So Josh decides that he needs to go visit him in prison. And while they're in prison, or so like while they're like having visiting hours in prison, like Josh realizes that no, his dad is indeed an asshole. Like the only reason why Michael wrote the letters was because he needs a doctor to write prescriptions so that he could sell
Mhm.
in prison for him and his friends that are in prison. And Josh is pissed because he has no remorse. He was like, "You tried to kill Ava." And he was like, "I understand that she's not your daughter, but she's my sister. And if I'm supposed to be like this, if I'm supposed to be like your everything as your son, you would have
Yeah.
never have laid a hand on my sister, let alone put your hand on her twice."
Yeah.
So he also same thing as Jules, like he didn't get the outcome he wanted, but he is getting closure because he's like, "You think I owe you something because you're my dad." And the book says this. There is a line to blind obedience, and you've crossed it over like 1,000 times. He's like, just because you're my dad, I don't owe you anything. Like, yeah, you paid for my school, you were a good dad to me, but like you hurt my sister, and absolutely not. And
Yeah.
so he leaves, same as Jules. He leaves, he doesn't get what he wants, but he gets closure, and he knows that now he can also leave his father in the past. And so the first place he goes after seeing his dad is to Jules's house. And they get to just talking about closure. Um, One thing leads to another, and this is a very spicy chapter. Um, anytime it's anytime Jules and Josh have sex, it is very like violent. I will say that much. Like he's like choking her. Again, they're here for it. They're both here for it. Like all types of things are happening. But this one, after this book or after this spicy scene, they don't make like rough, they don't have like rough sex. They have like just like an intimate, like making love type of sex. It's not like hurting each other. Not that it was hurting each other because they get turned on, but it's just like
Yeah.
it's yeah. It's what they need. So like they cuddle for a little bit, they get to talking, and then Alex goes to take a shower. And of course, all good things must come to an end because Jules gets a call from Alex and he is now asking for his favor. And the thing that
Max.
she must do, oh, Max, I'm sorry. I literally don't know why I keep saying Alex throughout this whole thing, but Jules gets a call from Max and she must complete the favor. And the favor is she must steal the painting. And the painting is the ugly painting that is in Josh's room. So Max gave Jules a week to steal the painting and give it to him, or he was releasing the sex tape. So I'm sorry, not Josh. Jules tries to convince Josh to like toss out the ugly painting, get a better one. But like Josh is like, no, I love this painting. Like, why would I throw it away? And then they get onto this topic of trust. And Josh tells Jules that there are very few people that he trusts in the world, especially after his dad and Alex. And she's one of them. Um, and like she doesn't know what to do with this information because she's like, I need to steal this fucking baby from you. But you
I
just
was
told
like,
me that you
Jules.
trust me.
I'm like, Jules, just tell him. He'll give you the painting or he'll track down this guy with you. Like, just tell him.
So 4 days, it's like 4 days later, and Jules came up with a plan. She doesn't know if it's gonna work, but she came up with like a plan on how to get this painting. So for the first part is she does actually have to like quote unquote steal the painting. So she did break into Alex, or I'm sorry, not Alex. She breaks into Josh's house.
Mhm.
And by break in, she had a key. So pretty much walked in.
He just wanted he was
She had a key, so she just walked in. She took the painting, but she also took a watch, some money that he had in a drawer, and an iPad, just to make it look like, you know, somebody like a burglar came in and took stuff.
yeah.
And then she gives Max the painting. So obviously, Josh comes home. He sees his place has been broken into. He calls the cops and then he calls Jules. Jules acts all surprised. But then he like makes a comment. He's like, "You didn't get someone to steal this because I didn't like it red." And now she like is also like, "Oh my god! Like, what am I like? How did he even come to that conclusion?" So she just like plays it off, and then he like Josh almost hangs up. Like he's about to hang up and he almost says like I like okay like goodbye I love you, but he stops himself before he like says the I love you part.
Mhm.
And Josh is just like what did I say? But now it's like the next day, and now Jules has to do the second part of her plan, and her second part of her plan involves Christian Harper, which if we don't remember from Bridget's book, he was the one who erased or found out who had Reese and Bridget's sex tape. So he's really good with digital problems. He's also her landlord. So she like
Mhm.
goes to his suite, and she asks Christian for a favor. And he tells her, well, if he does this for her, then she'll have to owe him something. It won't be something sexually or illegal. And she's like, should I take this deal? Because it's an open-ended deal. She's like, I have no idea what I'm getting into, but she's just like, at this point, I need to get this painting back.
Yeah.
So she makes the deal. In this chapter, we meet Dante. And we know that Dante is in the Sinners series of um, Ana Huang has like another series, and it's like the Seven Deadly Sins, and Dante is one of the main characters. So she like takes this and like spins it off. So we meet Dante in this book, and Jules tells Christian about the sex tape, about the painting, everything that he needs to know. Like maybe not about her past and like conning people back in the day, but like she just tells him everything that he has on her. So the next day, Christian has Jules visit Max. He gives her a necklace that has like a camera in it, and then he sends one of his men, Cage, to accompany Jules. And we
Mhm.
get way more information on Cage in the next book, guys. So who is Cage? This guy.
He'll be important.
Yeah, and Cage is there just in case if things get dangerous or physical. Christian also gives Jules a device that will allow him to hack Max's computer as long as she's within like 5 feet of the computer, and this is how he's gonna like delete the video. So Christian deletes the video, but before she leaves the room, Jules like kind of baits Max and is like, "Do you want to check your phone and see if you still have the video?" And he checks and he doesn't. So he freaks out and he like goes to his computer and all the copies have been removed. So he almost gets a little physical with um with Jules, and he's like, the people are gonna like be after me with this. But Kane comes, he makes sure that like he doesn't like touch Jules. And so Jules takes the painting and Max tells her this isn't gonna be over. And so Jules' original plan was to leave the painting, the watch, and the money for like Josh to find and just like chalk it up to like luck. But then she
Mhm.
decides that like she also wants to move forward with him and she can't unless she like you can't start a relationship on lies. And
Mhm.
Jules realized that like Josh means way more to her. So she's like, I have to confess. Um
Yeah.
and so the next chapter starts off with Josh being in a good mood. He put his dad behind him. Work is doing okay. Like he hasn't lost any patients like in the hospital. He realizes that he loves Jules and he's just like excited for her to take the bar the following week because that means that they'll finally have more time for each other. They can go on more dates. Um, After she takes the bar, Josh got tickets for her to see Legally Blonde the musical in New York. And earlier in the book, we find out that the movie Legally Blonde was one of the reasons why Jules wanted to be a lawyer. So he's like has all of this sweet stuff like planned for her. So like he goes home and he someone's at his door, it's Jules, and Jules like has the painting, has everything, and she gives him everything that she stole. Again, she walked into the apartment so with the key. So
Yeah.
um everything they stole, and Josh is like pissed and he's like, explain. And so she does. So she tells him that she was scared that if how he would react if she had told him sooner. And she didn't want to ruin like what they were just starting to like feel for each other because of her past.
Yeah.
He's like pissed at Max, but he is like still pissed at Jules. Like Jules explained that she was being blackmailed, and this was like the only way that she was always going to try to get the stuff back, but like she like needed to get rid of him. And Josh is just seeing red at this point because he absolutely hates liars. And for everyone who's like listening, if you read the book, the next like 5 or 6 pages are like intense. So Josh tells Jules that he forgives her and proceeds to like have sex with her. And it's like rough sex. Like she's crying, she's not getting as turned on as she normally gets turned on, but like she's still like a willing participant because like she doesn't know how to like she just like confessed all this to him and she doesn't know how to
Yeah.
like react with all this and he's like saying like all of these things. And then right when she's about to climax, he tells her, "Remember when I said I forgive you? I lied." And then he finishes. Um, and then he says, "This is only fittingly for us to have an like the end a goodbye fuck." And he like tells her that she's only good for sex, and for her to get like the fuck out of his house. Um,
Yeah, that made me really upset.
so
I was very mad at Josh for doing that. I was like,
yeah,
you could have just kicked her out. You didn't have to have sex with her too.
like it is it's a rough couple of 4 pages. It's not like even a long, it's not even like long. It's really is like 4 pages. And like this whole time, like Jules is like still trying to apologize. Like she's just like, and he like literally just like, yeah, I have to agree. I don't even have thoughts, but like, yeah. I also hope though, because I do think I'm not defending Josh by any means. Like he should have never have like this sex scene is just like in such an intense sex scene. He should have never had done that. So like I am not defending Josh by any means, but he does
Mhm.
feel betrayed. So I do think though for Netflix, I do think this scene needs to be done well, because I do think as viewers, we need to see that like he does love her. Like we need to see that he was ready to take her to see Legally Blonde. He was ready to do all these things, and like she did betray his trust. And the reason why he's hurt is because it, his dad betrayed his trust and Alex betrayed his trust, which he can like get over, but he's like, you knew that how that impacted me. Like you knew the letters, you knew that how I had to like go to the prison, how I had to get closure. Like you know how like me work like Jules knew all this and you still chose to betray me. So for him,
Yeah.
it's different. So again, I'm not defending because he should have never he I agree with you. He should have just kicked her the fuck out.
Yeah.
Um,
And
but
he told her that one time too. He was like telling her like, "I'm so happy I have somebody like you I can confide in. Like you're the only person I can actually talk about all these things with."
oh,
And then she didn't she like feel guilty in that moment? I think this was I
yeah.
don't remember when this happened exactly, but so like yes, he was really hurt, but like what he did, it was just like it just felt like so revengeful and like angry, and I'm like I don't feel good. I don't feel good right now.
No, it was 1000% angry and resentful. Like I said, like this scene is like I do think it's a little intense. So like I said, I do hope Netflix does it right, because honestly, I just think of everyone knows. Or did you watch Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
Okay, everyone, and I agree. The last season of Game of Thrones was not the best. That's whatever. We got what we got. But I think one of the things that the show should have done better was the last season. All of a sudden Daenerys goes crazy, and like she wasn't really crazy any other times before. um and one of the things that a lot of people like online have like an issue with like once they caught, I think her name was Melisandre, but like once they cut off like the girl's friend's head, she like
Mhm.
is like Dracarys and like
She
puts the
lost it.
city on fire, right? What
Yeah.
we don't get is because essentially for 7 seasons, yes, she was slowly going crazy, but we forgot that. Like, there's also like 15 other characters that we have to follow. What I really do think what they should have done for that scene was they should have cut her head, but then what they should have shown was like Daenerys, like 5-second clips of her being sold off in season one by her brother. Her brother like trying, I don't, does he tries to like rape her? So I don't know, I don't remember because it was like so long ago. But then like her losing her baby, her losing what's his name, Draco, or not Draco? What was the people, her
Or
Jason Momoa's character?
yeah.
Like losing, like her losing that, like her being betrayed by like friends and family, to like
Yeah.
how she had to finagle. Like they should have just shown like 5-second clips of like all of that, and then the last clip should have been of Melisandre's like head getting cut off again, and then it should have been her in like present day, and it should have been like Dracarys, and like this is why like she had to deal with so much, but we didn't get that as a viewer, and I think a lot of people just forgot that. So I feel like honestly, Netflix has to do something similar, because this is like they can't cut this scene. Like this scene like makes so much. Like I feel like right before he like tries to fuck her, I think they need to show like all the bad shit that's happened to, or like we're just remind the viewer of like everything that's like going on and how he was like, I trusted you in all this. Like, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm here for it. I just hope Netflix does something. But yeah.
It'll be
um
intense for sure.
um whew, let me go back to my notes because we that was intense. Let's see. So before he kicks Jules out though, Josh tells Jules that like she should have told him, especially after Ohio, which is why I think Ohio needs to be like one episode, like just he was like, we grew together after Ohio, and like you were my everything. He was like, I would have been on your side and I would have given you the painting. I would have given you anything if you had just asked for it. And like Jules is like crying, and like she's trying to talk to Josh, and like this is when Josh essentially kicks her out, and then like after she leaves, Josh is still like seeing red. So he like rips up the Legally Blonde tickets. He like rips up the shirt that like she slept in that first night because like he hadn't washed it because like it still smelled like her. He kept the receipts from like their first date of like where they went out to dinner. So like he like really like loved her, and I just think like, oh, like Josh, you were an asshole, but like you're hurting.
I
Uh,
mean, he was like the of all the male main characters, he's like the most realistic.
he is. I do think this. I do like this book the best because I do think it's the most realistic. If I'm being honest, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jules is devastated. And she's like crying herself to sleep. And so for like the and remember she has to take the bar in a week. So for the next week, she just like focuses on like bar prep. So she does nothing but study. So finally, it's time for the bar. And when you take the bar is two parts. There's like a written part and a multiple choice part. So she takes the multiple choice part. It's done. But as she's like packing up to leave, she hears like another person talking about with their significant other, like they're gonna go out for dinner, to like celebrate, and like all she can think about is Josh and like what they would have done if they were still together. And so she like wants to cry. So she's like, I need to get out the building as quickly as possible. The elevators were like there was like a line and it was taking forever. So she's like, I'm gonna take the stairs. And so as she's in the stairway of this, she hears Jules, I need the painting back. And she turns around and Max is there and he pins her up against the stairwell and he keeps telling her he needs the painting. And she was like, I got rid of it. And he's like, you're lying. He was like, if I don't give it back to the people who like I was stealing it for, they're going to kill me. And Jules is just like, I don't have it. So then he threatens to take payment another way, which is AKA rape her because, he has nothing else to do with he can't think of nothing else to do. And so Jules, like, he's like choking Jules too. So she's like out of breath. She's like pinned up against a wall, but she is able to like knee him in the balls. But like as she knees him and like she tries to get free, he like pushes her down the stairs and like all she sees is black. So remember, it's been a week, and Josh, he's at the hospital. He's been a jerk to everybody for the past week, and his friend slash coworker, the one who was at the bar at the beginning of the book, tells him that she's telling him he needs to get it together because like he's about to get like written up or whatever. Like he needs to like figure out what's going on with him.
Yeah.
Also, this coworker knows Jules. Like she's met her before. She met her at the picnic. She knows that like Josh likes Jules, and so she's like, "You need to go see your next patient." And the next patient is Jules, and she knew this. So I think this is done on purpose. Like she purposely set him to the room because she knows Jules, and like I think she's like, "Your girlfriend got hurt. Like go fix it." So
Yeah.
Josh like sees Jules and he starts to freak out internally. Jules is like has like a big gash on her forehead, but like they're not supposed to like know that they know each other. So like they have like a doctor patient conversation. He's like,
Yeah.
what's hurting? She's like, my neck, my back. He asks like, how did this happen? And she tells him that she was pushed down the stairs by Max. And Josh is pissed. So he leaves the room and texts Alex that he needs him to find someone. Less than an hour passes. Um, Alex finds Alex finds Max, and he takes him to his house that he has on the outskirts of the city, where he does whatever in the basement because it's soundproof. So
Alex and Christian are just like solving everybody's problems in this whole series, like honestly.
literally,
Like, you have a problem? Hold on, let me call Alex.
we call Alex or Christian. Yep. Um, and Alex beats the crap. I mean, I don't know why I keep saying Alex, guys. It is not Alex. This is Josh's book. Josh beats the crap out of Max, and like he like almost kills him, and Alex actually stops him from killing him, and he's like, this isn't who you are. Like I understand you needed to like get some punches in, but like you can't kill him because you'll never forgive yourself.
Yeah.
So Alex tells Josh to go take a shower and he'll take care of everything. So like Josh gets out of the shower and Max is missing, the blood's cleaned up, all this. And so Alex is like, okay, but what's up? Like you all of a sudden are mentioning Jules, because like when he's beating up Max, he's like, "You did this to Jules, and you did this to Jules, and all this," and he was like, "You need to tell me the truth." So Josh tells Alex everything. And Alex tells Josh like, "We're trying to be friends again, but I'm gonna hit you with the truth, and like as a friend, I hope you like take it." And he tells Josh that like, you said you loved her. No, you're still in love with her because you just almost killed a man for her. Jules did lie, but she also told you the truth, which she could have kept it a secret because there would have been no way of you finding out that she did any of that. The only reason why you tell someone the truth is that you want a fresh start. And the only reason she was scared to tell you from the start was because of how you were going to react. So Alex asked Josh, "So tell me, how did you react when you found out?" And Josh is like, "Fuck, like I literally literally acted the way she was scared I was gonna react. Actually worse than that. But anyways. So it's the
Mhm.
second Jules still needs to take the second half of the bar. She still takes it. Meanwhile, she has a concussion. She like has bruises. She has like this cut. But after she's done taking the second half of the bar, Josh is waiting for her and he apologizes to her. And honestly, it's a good apology. Like he tells Jules that like there's no one else. He tells her he's a jerk. He shouldn't have said any of those things. Like even if he was seeing red, that was no way to treat her. That like she is much more than any of those things. Um, and so he tells Jules that like there's no one else and she's it. And Jules is like, I need time. So it's been a few days and Jules is at work and Josh just shows up and like just sits at his desk because remember they work together.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden Jules gets a call from the soccer player that she met at Bridget's wedding and they decide to go out for drinks. And Josh is hearing this whole conversation. And so the dude is like, "Oh, it's just drinks, it's not a date." And like Jules can see that Josh is overhearing and she's like, "It's not a date, he's in the city, he doesn't know anyone." And Josh is like, "Trust me, it's a date." Uh so she goes out for drinks with the soccer player, and Jules just cannot stop thinking about Josh while she's, on this like fake date. And then the guy's like, "Tell me, what is it with this guy who's like been watching us for the last 15 minutes?" And of course, Josh is there just staring at them. So Jules is like, "Yeah, I need to end things." Because again, all she's thinking about is Josh. So
Yeah.
like she heads outside and Josh follows her and she's like, "We're not anything, remember?" And he's like, "I told you I don't share." He was like, "And I'm sure as hell not gonna let some like other guy just like try to fuck you or whatever." And so they have though another like heart to heart conversation. And they tell each other that they love each other. And it's been 12 days since they broke up. So Alex tells her, "I owe you 12 orgasms." So they head back to the apartment. And he does good on
They
his
get to work on
promise.
that.
He does good on his promise. But then they realize that they have to tell Ava. So
Mhm.
like the next chapter is they're telling Ava, and Alex already knows, but they're telling Ava. Ava's like, "What?" She's everything that Josh did in Ava's book, Ava's doing now. She's like, "You better not hurt each other." She's like taking both sides. But during
Yeah.
this time, while like Ava is talking to Jules like privately, Alex asked for Ava's hand in marriage to Josh, and he pretty much is like, "I was gonna do it whether you said yes or no, but like I want you to know that I'm doing this, and like, will you be my best man?" So that was a little nice, and then Josh does take Jules to go see Legally Blonde. But on their last night in New York, he takes her to a gallery opening uh, because his ugly painting is on display. He sold his painting for a lot of money because he didn't want the people who were going after Max like come after him. So
Mhm.
he sold it to Dante, and we learned that like Dante has like connections, but he's also like known for doing like being violent and stuff. So he's like the people are not going to go after this painting because of Dante. But
Yeah.
Dante buys it, but AKA really Christian buys it. We find out more in the next book. So it's just like setting this all up. And now we reach the epilogue. And so Jules passes the bar. She gets her bar results back. She is now a full time lawyer, at this great law firm. Josh gifts her the trip to New Zealand so that they can do the things that he loves to do together. So like they bungee jump together and like they tell each other they love each other, that like there's no one else in the world that they would like rather do this with. So, and really sweet. We find out that
Mhm.
Jules moves in with Josh, but that means that Stella is at the Mirage alone. And she can only afford it because she worked out a deal with the landlord Christian.
Of
End
course.
of the book. Thoughts?
Um, I mean, I liked it because it was, like, the most realistic, like, there's, like I mean, it's still you still have, like, Alex and Christian and Alex are what make some of the books unrealistic for
Yes.
just, like, regular people. So they're still in the story, but, like, Jules and Josh's relationship is, like, the most, like, normal, I guess, is the word.
Mhm.
Like, it's just a lawyer and a doctor. So, I mean, I was really mad at Josh in that one scene, but by the end, I was like, "Okay, he made a mistake, he really apologized for it, like, maybe I'll forgive him. Maybe."
Yeah. I agree. I do think theirs is the most realistic. I do think it's because it's a lawyer and a doctor, but I also think just the dynamic. Like, how many times do we have that? Like, a friend fell in love with like their brothers or their best friends, like brother or sister or whatnot. So I just
Yeah,
think like even in that dynamics, like, oh, Jules is Ava's Josh's little sister is like one of her best friends. So like I think that dynamic is very realistic. I think the dynamic of like oh, or their whole thing with like trust and like 'cause at the end of the day, Jules had trust issues because of her mom. Josh had trust issues with her dad. Like we all have trust issues. So I think that was very realistic. I also think that like Ohio, like if this was a real life situation and like the person I was like fucking just came along on a trip where I had to like bury my mom, like I think there would have been there's like an understanding, like there is closeness there. So I just think like this whole book was more realistic than the rest. Now, sex
yeah,
tape and all this stuff, I don't know. I mean, maybe people have sex tapes out there. Like, obviously, they added more to the plot, but I think relationship wise, I agree. This book was the most realistic, and I did like this book. This was my favorite book in the series, which is funny because I was like on TikTok, and I think this is like a lot of people like don't like this book, and I was like, this was literally my favorite book in the whole series.
it's probably
So
because it's, like, the most realistic. People want, like,
yeah,
that, like, grandeur what am I saying that right?
yeah,
Grandeur kind of, situation, like, oh, you find a billionaire, you fall in
yeah,
love, and then yeah.
yeah. And
But,
like
no, I like it.
I hope like that scene where Josh like honestly he kind of violates Jules. I don't know how else to say it, but like that one scene, like I do
That's what it
also
felt
see
like.
that happening with other people, like people being so angry they use sex as a way, and then they're like, get out of my house. Like I also see that possibly happening. I don't know. Like this whole book was just like, yeah, so realistic to me. Okay, but
Yeah.
um, time for our sassy questions.
Oh, shit.
So first question, just like healing from the past. How important is this and how do we view it in the society? Because both of these people were, I mean, all of four books they were hurt in the past, but like in this book in particular, the Jules and Josh were like hurt by their family. It doesn't allow them to trust later on. They essentially don't trust each other when push comes to shove at some point. Like, how important is this? Because if they had better communication, a lot of things probably would have not have happened. But like, how do we view this in our society?
Yeah. Oh my god. Um, I mean, therapy? I feel like that's probably an important thing to do, especially, like, all the trauma that all these characters go through in each book. It's kind of insane, like, they all have trauma from their parents, I think, like, every single one.
Mhm.
Like, both people in each couple. So, I mean, yeah. But without it, there wouldn't be the storylines, I
Yeah.
guess.
I agree. Well, I think we said in our first video when we recorded Twisted Love, I was like, everyone needs therapy. I
We do.
agree, healing from the past, like honestly, and you know what? Another reason why I probably resonated so much with this book, like my mom's also at like there's just like so much with this book that I just like resonate personally with. So I don't know. This really is my favorite book, but I think like it's important to heal from the past. Like honestly, I'm 36. And just even maybe with stuff with my mom and stuff because I have like some guilt with my mom passing away too. Like, and I have talked to people about it, and had a therapist. But I do think you need to heal from this.
Yeah.
I like because it does impact your relationships. It does impact other things that you have because at the end of the day you always want to protect yourself and
Mhm.
so and all we know is from past experience, right? We're like this happened to me, so all I can do is protect myself from that happening again. And sometimes you like put yourself into a shell, you push people away. Yeah, so I think it's important. I think
Yeah.
in the last like 5 to 10 years, therapy is like been a thing that like we push for, like mental health in our society in general. I think we have a long way to go, but I definitely think it's pushed better. It's pushed like be like it's okay. But like when I was younger, and I mean I grew up in like a Latina family, like it was not okay to visit a therapist. So
I know. Or, like, just, like, even if you don't go to therapy, like, just talking in general about stuff
mhm.
is probably helpful because, like, same, like, in our household, if we had problems, like, we didn't talk about them really. It was just, like, you just kinda moved on without saying anything, right? So then, I mean, you kinda have to, like, learn how to communicate if you wanna move past some things.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Um, I also do think that like if we heal from our past, we do have better communication. Because I do think that is a theme of this book. Literally, if there had been better communication just from the get-go, so many things wouldn't have happened. So I do think the two go hand in hand.
yeah,
So yeah,
for sure.
yeah. We'll see how I'm very excited to see how Netflix covers all this. Next question. I've asked this for everybody else. I'm gonna ask it for this book. I'm gonna ask it for Christian in the next book. Is Josh toxic?
Oh, well, he definitely had his toxic moment, but, um I think he the important thing is that he felt remorse. Like, if he had, like, no remorse, that would have been, like, a huge issue. But he felt remorse, and he apologized, and hopefully he doesn't do it again.
Yeah. I mean I've said this from the get-go. I don't think Josh is toxic. I agree. That scene was very toxic. Like he was an asshole in in those few pages, definitely. Um, but I do think like even when he like beat up the guy, he was like, "I'm a doctor. Am I supposed to be taking a like?" He did that because like he loved Jules and like. Please, no one go to prison for me or anything. Like, don't beat the crap out of someone. But like, also, it's like, oh, like you're gonna defend my honor, like it is kind of like sexy and sweet, kind of in a way, like from like another
Yeah,
perspective, right? Like, please
yeah,
don't actually do it in real life, but like in like made up world or like in your head, it's like, oh, that is kind of sweet and whatnot. Um, but like even like just like overall, again, maybe because he's a doctor, like he was very sweet to like just the people around him.
yeah, he
So I don't
was.
necessarily think Josh is toxic. I do think that moment was toxic. After rereading it, because I obviously read this and then I had to reread it because we were doing this podcast. I will say this much though. Um, Josh does have the very rough sex scenes. So I literally had to put that in my head, like, wait, is he toxic because of like does that qualify? And it's like, no, he just like likes it rough. But like his scenes, like when they do it, it's like always rough. Like except for like the two times it wasn't. So I do think like reading this book and you're reading some of that, you're like, oh no, he's toxic. But it's like, no, not really. That's just like Jules was down for the cause too. So like that wasn't that. But I don't think
Is he
overall.
is he rougher than Alex?
Yeah, Alex wasn't that rough with Ava that many times. No. Or I mean maybe he is, but in this book they talk about the amount of times like there's the girl, you're forgetting there's another
I think I'm
scene.
forgetting.
Yeah, I think you're forgetting some of the scenes. Like there's I mean, and maybe Alex does with Ava, I have no idea, but there's like he's like always choking her. He's like always doing these types of things. There's like a scene where like he ties her up. And obviously these are kinks, right? Like people enjoy doing this stuff sometimes, but like
Yeah,
there's like a scene where he's like punishing her. And again, punish in quotations because like Jules was absolutely here for this. Like the only
yeah.
time he did anything that she did, probably didn't want to do was when he kicked her out of the house after she told him that like she stole the painting. Like that is the only time sexually like she may have been
That was a
uncomfortable
little
with.
gray.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's like rough. Like I don't think you just remember. I don't think you're remembering that.
I feel
Um,
like I'm probably, like, forgetting some scenes.
yeah, like I think out of I well Christian, no, I think for the most, I
I
mean,
feel
they all have roughness in them, but I think Josh had the most roughness because there are. I'm like thinking of Stella's book, and there are scenes in there too, but they're not
I feel
like
like they were the least rough,
yeah,
like which is crazy because I expected him to be the most,
yeah,
or one
because
of the
yeah,
most, but he wasn't.
yeah. So yeah,
Um,
um, and
yeah.
then this isn't like a sassy question, but I just think it's funny though, and I want to bring this up and just get your thoughts for 2 seconds before we cast everybody. Um, Josh is always calling her in the beginning. He calls her Jr. before he comes to the nickname Red. And my thing is, he calls her Jr. because it's supposed to be Jessica Rabbit. Jessica Rabbit is supposed to be like this, like sexy, like character, right?
Mm,
So
yeah,
did he always at some point find Jules attractive?
probably. I think so. He probably just, like, focused on the fact that he hated her, and it was kind of like, like, his hate was more upfront than his actual, like, "Oh, she's, like, hot."
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I was just like, oh, well, if he's calling you JR, like he has to find you attractive because he's picking like this sexy character. He came, your new nickname now is Red. Like he stopped calling you JR. But yeah. All
Yeah.
right. This is a Netflix series or it's gonna be picked up. So who do you have cast for this? And I stuck with like main characters. So we're only gonna do Josh, Jules, Max, Adeline or Adeline, however you say the mom's name, and then Alistair, the stepdad. So who do you have for Jules?
Okay, Jules, I had maybe, like, 2 people because one of them is, like, a TikTok person and one of them is, like, an actual actress.
Okay.
So the actress, I was thinking maybe Hannah Dodd. She's from Bridgerton. She's one of the Bridgerton sisters.
Oh, which one?
I think she was the latest. No, not the latest season. Yes, it is the latest season, like, her story.
No, you're thinking of Nicola. No, that's not her. You're thinking of
I'm thinking
Nicola.
I'm thinking of the one that, um, like, potentially becomes, like, a lesbian.
Oh, that's who out of all the Bridgerton people.
Yeah, because I saw a
There's
picture of her with
literally
red
a
hair.
voluptuous redhead who is so sexy in Bridgerton,
I
and
know,
you choose the non-redhead
but I saw
Bridgerton
a picture
girl.
of her with red
Oh
hair, and
my
I was
gosh.
like, "Oh," because there's a
Uh,
picture of her with her red hair, and I'm like, "Oh, I could kinda see her as Jules with the red hair." Yeah, in
uh,
Bridgerton, she doesn't look like a Jules, but if
okay,
you put
okay,
red hair on her, it could
okay.
change. Well, the other girl is she's like a TikTok I don't know how to say her last name, but her name is Renata, and, like, visually, she looks exactly how I picture Jules.
Okay.
Like, exactly.
I mean, I'm here for it. I also have 2 people for Jules.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't think either one of them will ever play Jules' character, but I
Mhm,
have 2 people. My first one is Renee Rapp. I don't know if that how is that how you say her last name? She was in Secret Life of College Girls or something like that. Um, but I feel like I don't know why she stopped being in that show, but that show, her character was a little sexy, so I don't know if that's one of the reasons
mhm.
why she backed down. And this whoever plays this is a sexy role. So
Yeah, she's got, like, that sassiness to her too.
yeah, yep. I feel like whoever the banter, I feel like it would work very well. I have her, and then I have Ariel Winters. Is that how you say her name? But again,
Oh,
I don't
from
know.
Modern
Like, I
Family?
don't know if either one of them would play the roles. She was in
Modern Family?
yes, uh, throw a red wig on her. I think either one of these 2 girls would. All right, who do you have for
Mhm.
Josh?
For Josh, I have sorry. His name is I don't know, I'm probably not gonna say this right either. Cha Yun-woo. He's, like, in a band, like a K-pop
Oh,
band.
oh, I could
You
see
should
it.
Google him. He's pretty good looking.
Uh, if
Mhm.
he's a K, I don't know who he is, but if he is a K-pop, like in a band and it's K-pop, I'm sure he is. I feel like there's a formula that goes into to them, and
And
he probably is very attractive. Yeah.
he's tall, and I was like,
Uh,
"I could see this, I could see this."
so I have 2 people. One is kind of funny, but I think it'd just be funny to like just to see how it work. I'm gonna say his last name wrong, but Manny Jacato, he was in The Good Place. He played like the idiot, and I think it'd be so funny because like Josh is supposed to be so smart.
Manny Jacinto?
Or Cito, yeah. I think he'd be good. I think it'd be I don't know, I really like that. Then the
I
next
could see
person
it,
I
I can
have
see it.
then the next person I have, I don't know because he's playing a doctor now in Grey's Anatomy. So
Oh,
um
I'm thinking of this guy.
Harry Sum Jr., he was also in Glee. But he's like playing a doctor now.
Oh.
He's like playing a doctor now in Grey's Anatomy. So like I don't know, but I think he's also a good looking guy and he could definitely play it too. And he's also tall.
Yes, I remember him.
Mhm. All right. Who do you have for Max?
For Max wait, who did I have for Max? Oh, Miles Teller.
Oh, I like that one. Um, I have Nicholas Holt. I think that's how you say it. Uh, but he was. Did you see Catherine the Great? He was the husband. Shazah! How does he always say it? Shazah? I don't know. But they would need to like make him. They wouldn't like need to rough him up though. Like I
Yeah, a
also
little
think
bit.
Max can't be too pretty boys. Like they like makeup team, would need to like do some stuff. But like I think he'd be a good
Yeah.
Max.
Yeah, I think he could
And
be a
who do
little
you?
I could see him as evil a little bit too.
Yeah. Who
Yeah.
do you have as Joel's mom, Adeline or Adeline, however you want to say it?
I had maybe 2.
Hmm.
Either Jessica Chastain or Heather Graham.
Oh, I love Jessica Chastain as this. Love
'Cause she's
it.
very pretty and,
Hmm.
she had to be hot too. That was, like, her
Yes.
thing.
I have Julianne Moore. She's also like a redhead.
Mhm.
Um, I also think she needs to play like lovable, but like kind of like I mean, she wasn't a good mom, and so I just think like Julianne Moore was like in Hunger Games, and like she played like the lovable like District 13, but like was actually an asshole. So I think like she's played the part before, so I think she could play it again, and she'll be amazing at it.
Yeah.
And who do you have for Alistair?
For Alistair, I have I don't know if I'm saying David Morrissey. So, he was in The Walking Dead. Did you watch The Walking Dead?
No, that's even though it's like 10 years old, that is on my list of things to watch.
Well, he was, like, this character, the governor, so he was just, like, a leader of this, like, one town, and he played,
Mm,
like, an evil, guy. So,
Okay. So for Alistair, I have one person. I think he plays evil so well. So I have Tobias. I think you say Mackenzie. I might be saying that wrong, but he was an Outlander, and sometimes people play their role so well. He was also in The Crown. He was like the middle age Philip, Prince Philip. He played evil like so well. Like I truly can only see him like in this role. And people are like, "Oh, you're typecast." I was like, "No, like I think this dude, I don't know if he won Emmys, but there's like literally an episode in season 1, there's like an episode where I think him and Sam, he's the main character, should or yeah, Sam, they should have gotten Emmys, Oscars, everything. Like there is a scene where they have to do together. It is an intense scene, and like they did so well. Like they deserve all the Emmys, all the Oscars, all the whatever you can win for the show. But like I also like just kind of see Tobias as like this like villain guy who would like always take advantage of like just because of his role in Outlander. Like he just did so well. He's
I
Alistair
could
to
see
me.
him.
Yeah, he's Alistair to me. So
I could see it.
um yeah, I love Outlander, and he did amazing. He also, I mean, he did amazing in The Crown too, being honest. But yeah.
I feel like he kinda looks like the guy I picked a
Oh,
little bit.
well, there
Like,
you go.
they look like they could be cousins.
There you go. Uh, well, thank you for doing this with me. We have one more book. Twisted Lies. Is that the next one? Yes.
Is it
Um,
Liz?
yes. Twisted Lies is Christian and Stella's book. So we'll see everyone next week. But thank you for doing this. Bye.
Bye.